I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th. I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony or who is disqualified under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules, and I hope everybody would agree with me.
One of the most memorable moments of the debate last night for former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson is he made it clear he would not support former President Trump as the Republican nominee if he is convicted. Let's bring in the former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, a 2024 GOP presidential candidate. Governor, great to see you.
Morning.
So Scott Lehigh, Scott Lehigh, columnist for the Boston Globe, was very impressed, very complimentary of your appearance last night. He wrote in part, quote, Hutchinson barely met the criteria to make the stage in Milwaukee, but once there, he used the evening to establish himself as a figure one could actually imagine as president of the United States. Mature, measured, and thoughtful, Hutchinson highlighted an Arkansas record that should appeal to results-oriented conservatives. You qualified for the debate by getting 1, even 2% in a number of national or local polls. But you can't maintain a candidacy with those numbers. What are you going to do between now and the next debate to bump those numbers up?
Well, we expect to qualify for the second debate, which will be in Simi Valley at the Reagan Library. Very excited about that. But we accomplished everything that we wanted in last night's debate. As the columnist indicated, we showcased that I'm ready to be president. I can take on Joe Biden. I can attract independents into my column, and we can win again. I also made the point that we need new leadership in the party. As the future of the campaign, nobody thought I was going to get on the first debate, and we surprised them. We're there, and we, for the first time, presented ourselves to a national audience. So I was thrilled with last night and the contrast that was made and the clarity of my mission going forward, that we can win as a Republican Party if we have new leadership.
All right, so when you say thrilled, I assume you'd give yourself an A on your performance there, Governor?
Oh, I'm not that braggadocious. I would probably downgrade it just a little bit. Clearly, I wasn't prepared for a food fight. And so,
Is that what you think it was?
You can't just follow the rules of a debate. Well, you know, it was out of control. I mean, there was a lot of yelling back and forth.
Well,
and
let me ask you,
as you can see, I got less time than others, but we'll change that.
Okay, so while there were some who jumped in, that's for sure, a lot more than others. Of your GOP, the other GOP candidates on the stage, who surprised you the most up on that stage?
Well, I think what surprised me was how ridiculous many of Vivek Ramaswamy's ideas were. I knew about them, but he doubles down on those.
Like what?
And for example, his theory that we should give in to Russia, and secondly, that somehow we ought to, have term limits for federal officials, not elected officials, but those in office. I mean, you go on and on down the list, and then he declares everybody else on the stage as in the pockets of are being bought and paid for. So that's why Nikki Haley took him on. We applauded her on that. But that was a little bit of a surprise. I was surprised that Ron DeSantis couldn't be clear on whether he supported Ukraine or not. It was still ambiguous, and that's been his problem from day one. He hasn't been clear on where he is. First calling a territorial dispute, and then say, no, that was wrong, I'm for it, and now it's not clear whether he wants to support him again. So those are some surprises to me.
Yeah. It's often said that the person who takes the most fire at these debates is the person that the other candidates are most worried about. And Ramaswamy is really coming up on the inside very quickly. I wanted to ask you about what you said regarding former President Trump. You and Chris Christie were the only candidates on the stage to not raise your hand to say that you would continue to support his nomination if he gets convicted of crimes. And you said in your statement there from the debate stage that you believe that it would potentially be disqualifying if he were convicted of a crime. I've done some research on this and found that there's nothing that I can see that would disqualify him. If he were convicted of federal charges, he could pardon himself. There might be a constitutional question, but if he was convicted on state charges, is it better to have him in jail, or would the fact that you need to have him as president supersede that, and any jail sentence would have to be served after he ceased being president? But you made a pledge, Governor, to support the nominee, but your pledge clearly comes with a caveat.
Well, John, first of all, you're correct that just because a candidate is convicted of a crime doesn't prohibit him from being president. But the 14th Amendment of our Constitution does if you have engaged in insurrection. And that's what's being tried currently, but it doesn't even take a trial. You know, any Secretary of State could determine that former President Trump, while he was a federal official, engaged in an effort to overturn the election and could disqualify him. Obviously, it would be tested in court. That was my point. And under RNC rules, that's not going to prohibit me from supporting the nominee of the party. It would prohibit that candidate from being a qualified one. That was my point, and we need to be aware of that. Very,
very interesting stuff. I think I said good morning because it feels like we saw you on the stage so late last night, Governor. But I'm sure it's been a long day indeed. Thank you so much for joining us today, Governor. Appreciate you.
Governor, we'll see you out in the trail. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.